Trump is ahead on the economy, inflation, and immigration. Harris is ahead on healthcare and cares about people like you. Trump stands up for the American worker by 47. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is a messaging failure on all fronts, dude. They're so bad. Trump ahead on economy, inflation, and immigration. Harris ahead on healthcare and cares about people like you. It's rarely, like, I usually have to take the initiative. How even your community can be rampant, which blows my mind. What are you talking about? This community literally has more trans people per capita than the United States of America. There's like 15 times, you are 15 times more likely to be trans in this community than just like trans in the United States of America. What the fuck are you talking about? What? Explain per capita. Yes, trans people comprise 15% of my audience. In the United States of America, they are like 1% total. So 15 times. Texas chatter here. Allred is running an all-right campaign by Texas standards. Texas libs support him because if he wins, he signals for a swing state of Texas so the libs are on board and all the lefts are okay with Allred because he's better than Cruz. Yeah, I mean, he is. And it's a pivotal race in order to maintain the Senate, which is likely not going to happen. But like, how do you square that circle when you got a guy like Greg Kazar, who is just the GOAT? Okay? Texas and many of these red states are significantly more progressive on a lot of issues than the way it is presented. Okay? Lesser evil, bro? No, I'm way more inclined for lesser evil voting when it comes to the Senate race. Come on. Like, that's very different. Not that it matters, because lesser evil voting is not going to move the needle anyway, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, when I tackle the lesser evil voting argument, it's not necessarily on its veracity, because it is true, right? It's marginally better. But that doesn't move the needle come election time. That's my issue with it. Yeah. Are you just exaggerating or joking around when he says secure the border and you jump the migrants, and when he supports a path to citizenship and tons more asylum judges? Am I missing and dumb? It's what matters is what he's communicating. When he says he's going to secure the border, he's the securing the border candidate. Why? What are we talking about? Like, of course I'm exaggerating. I don't think he wants the migrants directly. But the point is, you cannot outflank the Republicans on right-wing sentiment. You will never be able to do that. They will always push the needle further. Okay? When there is no security issue in general, when migrants do not constitute a threat to American national security, if you just capitulate on that framing and act like you're going to be the one to protect American borders, then you literally are saying this thing that is born out of complete falsehood is actually real. Do you think Texas will ever flip blue? No. Not with the current Democratic Party. Absolutely not. The point is that migrants is what Ted Cruz wants to do. So what does it communicate to voters when you attack him from the right? Exactly. Exactly. Wait a minute. Are you now saying that the Haitian migrant story wasn't meant to incite pogroms? What? No, I've never gone back on that statement. It absolutely is meant to incite pogroms. Yes, it still is. It was and still is. That is then it's directly calling for. Yeah, it is. What? Hello? Are you new here? Yeah, it is. And did come. It's not like did not occur. It did. They had threats in like every institution in Springfield, Ohio for a goddamn week. You just said he wasn't calling for though. No, man, you're just too stupid to understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, I think. I'm saying Colin Allred, the Democratic senator running for a Senate seat in the state of Texas against Ted Cruz, saying he wants a secure border, is not the immediate and direct call for us, in the same way that Donald Trump saying, oh, we have to do something about these Haitians stealing your cats and dogs. But it's basically capitulating to the right-wing framing on the matter.
Border Patrol and federal law enforcement officers to hunt.
By the way, this is why you can't outflank the Republicans on this issue, man. Kamala Harris will come out and be like, I'm going to be the border. I'm going to be border patrol. I'm doing border patrol. You don't understand. I'm going to secure the border. These migrants, I'm going to secure it. I promise you. Okay. And maybe we'll do some more immigrant processing on the side. Okay. But I'm going to secure the border. Trump doesn't want to secure the border. He wants a talking point. It's like you just gave him the talking point. When you do that, he's going to turn around and be like, I'm going to every migrant in this country. What are you going to do about it? And all you've done in that situation is prime your audience, prime your voters into believing that there is a genuine national security problem. That's it. Just like when you run on the idea that Mexican cartels are not a threat to the U.S. is so insane, it's laughable. Mexican cartels, what kind of genuine threat does the Mexican cartels constitute to the United States that you cannot actually deal with legalization and ease of access and pathways of migration by better processing, faster processing? Mexican cartels use American citizens to traffic drugs and chemical compounds necessary to make fentanyl in the United States of America, dumb. It's not migrants that are trafficking the drugs in. You're pointing to a problem with the specific purpose of lying about migrants. Here's another opportunity to completely gut the cartels, aside from, not directly cooperating with them. I don't know, maybe our agencies of espionage do on a regular frequency, who knows? But beyond that, control, control. Where do you think they're getting the dude? America. How are they getting it? Because American citizens want the drugs. How are they shipping those drugs? Americans are trafficking those drugs. It is so mindless. Nobody said it was migrants, young sir. Nobody said it was migrants. Let me run this back again.
Border Patrol and federal law enforcement officers to hunt down, arrest, and deport every last illegal alien gang member until there is not a single one left in this country.
What do you think is going on here? Are you going to do the classic, oh, well, he said gang member. Yeah, he thinks they're all gang members, you idiot. He thinks every undocumented illegal alien migrant rapist with a bad gene that causes them to... that's poisoning the blood of the nation needs to be mass deported. He's Adolf, and it probably sucks to recognize this for yourself, but if you agree in any way, shape, or form with this, you probably are Adolf too. That's it. That's it. And a lot of Americans have that Hitlerian dog in them, okay? In their hearts, they got that Sig Heil dog in there. Now the problem, or I guess not the problem necessarily, but like the upside of this is that they are also very stupid and simultaneously don't recognize how cruel and unusual and unnecessary this punishment is until it happens. And then they'll go, oh my God, this was so bad. Who could have guessed it? And that bears itself in the data quite a bit, because the very same Americans by 60% that say we need now are also saying we need to set up pathways of citizenship for these undocumented migrants that are, our neighbors that are living on U.S. soil. That's it. By far the most annoying independent I talked to in Michigan, far north of the state, is Harris isn't going far enough to secure our border people. I gently asked how the border impacts them. Worst I got was, I don't want to lose a job to them. Unemployed housewife. Median voter broke by the TV media. Absolutely. Absolutely. The funniest part about it is that Michigan, it doesn't matter where they're at, right? They are surrounded by undocumented migrants and they like them. Every American thinks it's some other secret, shadowy, scary rapist undocumented migrant that's going to get deported, and not their fun neighbor that they like that's going to get deported in this process. That's the problem. It's the same that happened with abortion. There are Republicans that were like, yeah, we really do need to restrict abortion. And then it happened. They're like, oh my God, what the... I never thought that like my daughter might get this necessary medical treatment. Oh, this was a bad idea. Because you're stupid. You're stupid. But I also fault the Democratic Party for not actively communicating that this would be devastating, not only for just your neighbors that you take for granted and like, but also for the American economy. That's the problem. I fault the Democratic Party for not actually putting up a fight so that the Republicans can focus on tackling the things that the Democrats are doing. When Democrats move to the left, the Republicans come along with them and try to fight tooth and nail to claw back any sort of progressive momentum that the Democrats put forward. When the Democrats don't do that, they get comfortable and they act like, oh, no, we're going to take this for granted. We're going to take these voters for granted. The Republicans can move the country further and further right. And if the Democrats go along with this right-wing attitude, with this right-wing sentiment, if they keep repeating it over and over again, they go even further right. Yeah, great example. What happened with IVF? There are some Republicans who want to ban it. But in the sea of all of this commotion about Republicans taking away people's personal civil liberties, the freedom that they once took for granted in terms of getting a medical process, routine medical procedure that is supposed to be kept between a doctor and a patient, when they interfered with that, and then some Republicans were like, we got to ban IVF too. What happened? Republicans were like, whoa, what do you mean? I love IVF. I'm going to literally artificially inseminate my wife right now. I'm doing IVF right now. I'm coming in a sock. We're doing IVF. I love IVF. I'm the defender of IVF. That's what they said.
And if they come back into our country, they will be told it is an automatic 10-year sentence in jail with no possibility of parole. And I'm hereby calling for any migrant that's an American citizen or a law enforcement officer.
Trump'ın haklı olduğu konular var. Ne var? Hangi konuda haklı? Hangi konuda haklı? Hadi bakalım. Sağcı Türkler. Yani salaklığın son seviyesi. Hadi anlat. Bak adam. Turkish right-wingers being like, there's some issues that Trump is right on. Like what? Hell yeah, bro just said we're going to turn migrants into slave labor. Did y'all hear that? Yes. What? What is this meme, bro? Come on. Jesus Christ, dude. Oh, we got edgy boys in the chat. Ooh, so edgy. Anyway, I think that like you can make that joke in a way that isn't so gross, you know? Could you explain why abortion would be reinstated under Harris, but somehow hasn't been under Biden? Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it looks like it's also an issue that the Dems don't want to deal with because they wanted to run on it. It's a bit of both. They didn't want to deal with it because they could potentially run on it, but they also didn't want to deal with it because they're cowardly and so completely captured by mainstream narratives that you saw. That's why NPR would be like, abortion is a divisive issue. Roe v. Wade is a divisive issue. It was never a divisive issue. 75% of the public was completely committed to Roe v. Wade, so much so that every single Trump-appointed Supreme Court justice on the public record lied to the American public and said, it's a super precedent. Amy Covert Beretta literally came out and was like, oh, it's a super precedent. Like, of course we're not going to touch Roe v. Wade. And then they did anyway. They lied. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You can't do, okay? These are appointed positions. They'll do whatever they want. Anyway. Wait, so your biological brother went to go see Uncle Ho Chi Minh's body, so you replaced him with a Turkish Valorant player? Based, Pog. Yeah, that's what I did. Trump is ahead on the economy, inflation, and immigration. Harris is ahead on healthcare and cares about people like you. Trump stands up for the American worker by 47. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh. This is a messaging failure on all fronts, dude. This is a communication disaster. Like, Trump stands up for the American worker. He literally had a billionaire narcissistic man baby do an interview of him, glazing him, and they talked about firing striking workers. Like, gleefully, they laughed about it. Oh, my God. Trump know how to run a country. He's not great, but good enough. But I hate him for looking at Middle East and think we should do and believe everything he wants. Make Israel a priority. We are not human beings. I mean, we be the Arabs. Trump, I'm sad. Okay, dude. He does not know how to run a country, dog. Okay, calm down. Anyway, yeah, immigration and border security, 52%. Best able to handle. Why? Why is it that only 36% of Americans believe Kamala Harris is best to handle immigration and border security, whereas 52% think Trump is better? Well, the answer is simple. It's because the Democrats have completely dropped the ball on the issue of immigration. They are captive to right-wing framing on the matter. And when you are telling everyone that your opponent is right on the matter, they're going to go with your opponent, who has always been right on the matter then. That accent is correct, 100%. That's how I say it in my mind. Okay. Greg Sargent, staff writer at the New Republic. News, Dems are seriously second-guessing some of the strategies of the biggest pro-Harris super PAC future forward. They worry outreach to young and non-whites is faltering and think Trump was able to rehabilitate his favorables too easily. No way. What? How? I'm so confused. I'm just some dumbass Twitch streamer. What the f do I know? I'm always in my hug box. I'm always in my living room. It turns out I can see certain realities from this goddamn living room in Los Angeles, California, better than these excellent expert analysts do. I've been saying this for months. Didn't you say this like yesterday and for the past 3 months? Yes, yes, yes. Every single day. Every single day I've been saying this. Every single day. And I said similar things about the Biden administration as well when Biden was running for re-election. Oh my God. Who could have foreseen this? Who could have foreseen this, dude? Who could have foreseen this? I know Harris Staver, the whole campaign, she was just living her best life and thrilled by the record-breaking donos, totally put the car before the horse. Yeah, it's funny because the record-breaking donos came because Kamala Harris represented a change and a response to public pressure. That swap out was why she got this momentum. All of a sudden, these same demographics that were primed, that were embarrassed to have to go out and vote for this old man running up against an old man as well, we're like, oh, this is good. This is new. We like this. We're going to gift you. We're going to give you positive reinforcement. You gave us what we wanted. And then they looked at that and we're like, oh yeah, let's just this entire thing up. Okay, let's just get up. I said when I went to the DNC, I was like, they're doing victory laps for no reason. This is a close race. What are y'all doing? Liberal framing, but what do you think about this argument? She could personally reside in America and frack enough natural gas to render all of Pennsylvania uninhabitable, and the median voter would still think she's too liberal. Just embrace it. Fighting it is a losing battle. Yeah, no, this is a little libbed up, but she's right. No, this is correct. This is why. This is why I say what I say. It's the same equation that you need to understand that it is a one-to-one with the way that people see Biden. They perceive Biden as weak, okay? They see Biden as weak when it comes to Israel, especially, right? They see him as old, weak, and feeble. They don't think he is a strong enough leader. Donald Trump, on the other hand, they see as a strong leader. You've said this before, but focus groups have said about 5 to 8% of the economy and immigration numbers are strictly because she's a woman and black. A bunch of people don't trust her on anything because of that. I know, which is why trying to capture the coalition of voters that a 700-year-old white man captured is not a smart campaigning strategy. This is what I've been saying for months. I said this is going to be a 2008 Barack Obama rerun. If she does that, she's going to win. If she still tries to do the Joe Biden voters, the white suburbians, she's going to lose. White people are this, and they're not going to look at her and be like, well, you know, she says she's a cop. I believe her. No, the same people that went for Joe Biden were like, yeah, he's stable. He's enough. I like him. They're never going to look at a and go, you know what? I've taken this seriously. I think she's going to be a good cop. No, I've been saying this. You know what it will never be? An old white man, okay? She will never be Joe Biden. So why would you bring his campaign on board to run his campaign strategy? You actually thought she had a chance? Are you nuts? She still has a chance, bro. Wake up. People despise Donald Trump. And also on top of that, Donald Trump is running a dog campaign. Every day of the week, Donald Trump goes out and does another stupid thing, says another insane thing. If I'm Donald Trump, I'm desperately running away from how I lost the election. I would never talk about that. I would never bring up January 6th ever again. He can't shut the up about it. Every time he says that, every single person that's like maybe in the margins goes, damn, I do remember that. That shit was kind of up. He like lied about being a sore loser and then he took action. Not every Republican Party voter is primed with like primed in the same way that your QAnon uncle is. Okay? They look at that and they're like, that's a little bit much for me. I don't know. Maybe I'll stay home this time. Every single time he moves the needle even further on the immigration stuff to a degree that is like genuinely gross. And for a lot of Americans, they're like, Americans are going, yeah, I think undocumented migrants do cause a lot of problems, but like, I don't think they're stealing cats and dogs. Maybe that's not for me. Every time he comes out and pops off, he's also hemorrhaging support. Bro, anyone saying she doesn't have a chance, just stupid. She's ahead in the polling when 50% of the polls are from right-wing firms that push the average down. This is because voters like voting for who is ahead. So if they can force a fake Trump surge, they will gain voters from it. But neutral polls show her up in swing states. Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I think Kamala Harris is in a dog position right now is because she's running a dog campaign and the polls should not be showing her this close to Donald Trump. Okay? If your opposition got almost assassinated twice and never even saw a bump, it is ridiculous that you are close in any way, shape, or form. The only reason why you're close to him is because you're running towards his vision. You are trying to implement his vision, and you're saying, I'm going to do Trump stuff, but I'm going to do it competently. This, I think a lot of people don't understand. Trump isn't just not liked because he's annoying and gross. and chaotic. His policies are also bad. And people don't like it. They don't like how they felt when we're storming in the streets. They don't like how they felt when his annoying ass, arrogant, sweaty fan base was chirping about every single thing that he said that was a complete fabrication of the truth. Like, they hated that. I hated that. I remember that. People forget. It's not just Trump's style that sucks, but his policies are sound. No, his policies are bad too. What the did he do for you when he cut tax for the wealthy? Yeah, sure, some dumbass Americans always are primed into believing that the Republicans are better at the economy, but that also is a genuine problem born out of the communication strategies of the Democratic Party in the neoliberal era. Post-Ronald Reagan, Democrats got so scared about Ronald Reagan's victory that they were like, we have to just be Ronald Reagan light every election, with one exception, and that was 2008 Barack Obama. Now, the problem is, he ran on a very progressive slant, and then he turned around and still did neoliberalism through and through. I guess maybe Al Gore to a certain degree as well, but Al Gore had the election stolen from him, and he didn't fight for it afterwards. So what happens when Trump wins? I'll tell you right now, okay? Donald Trump wins in November 5th. The next day, resistance libs are back. First, they're going to attack the left. They're going to be like, Muslims are the reason why Donald Trump won. Leftists are the reason why Donald Trump won. Oh, guess what? We're going to enjoy the show now. You did this to yourselves, okay? Good luck being deported. And then they are going to slowly but surely build the resistance liberal network. The entire networks are going to forget their coverage nonstop about how, immigrants constitute a genuine national security threat, because everyone's going to start feeling the pain. They're going to start noticing that their neighbors are getting door knocked. Their neighbors are getting, BORTAC units in the area. And being ripped apart from their family members. Their daughters are now crying on the streets because their dad is an undocumented migrant, and now he's in a deportation facility. All of a sudden, everyone recognizes how bad that policy was, even though they loudly and boldly declared how good that was when 60% of the country was seemingly on board with it. We are going to get a rerun of the Trump years, okay? That's it. That's it. That's what's going to happen. Every single liberal is first going to attack the left, and then they're going to turn around and still attack the left every now and then, but mostly start uniting under a broader progressive momentum. You'll probably see a bunch of people like Kamala Harris, unironically, also see that loud momentum and start saying, abolish ICE again, only to run on pro-ICE next time the election cycle comes around. Anyway, I don't think Trump will win, mostly for what I see in Michigan. Too many white people against Trump. Yeah, we'll see. You think they'll run her again if she loses? No, Kamala Harris, unlike Hillary Clinton, does not have like a Kamala constituency in the Democratic Party. The reason why Hillary Clinton was able to run was because like that is one wing of the Democratic Party. There were the Clintonites, and then there was the Barack Obama. Like inside of the Democratic Party's institution, you had Clinton. Kamala Harris does not have a portion of the staffers. That's why she's relying on the Clinton heads and the Joe Biden cutouts right now. Liberals are so annoying because as much as they sing about country over party, they love to bully people on their left. They are just like the Republicans who scream rhino lol, apparently, because we can't expect politicians to actually listen to voters. We should follow the party flag. It doesn't matter. Clinton actually beat Obama in a lot of states. She was a much stronger candidate than Harris ever could be. What? Okay. I disagree with you on that. Hillary Clinton was an incredibly unlikable candidate with multiple decades of conspiracy theories, some of which was warranted, some of which even unwarranted. Her name recognition was in the... Kamala Harris does not have Hillary Clinton's weaknesses, but she's still running a Clintonite-ass campaign, just totally oblivious. She actually had... Harris never caught on. She had to be handed the nomination. I mean, yes, institutional competency, Hillary Clinton had that for sure. But having said that, Hillary Clinton had far more significant negatives than Kamala Harris. That's just the truth. As a matter of fact, it's part of the reason why I still think Kamala Harris might win the election. But it's not. I do not believe that is as likely as I once did, for sure. I think that looking at the poll is one thing, but looking at the vibes overall or the momentum is an entirely different thing. But Donald Trump's pathway to victory, yeah, it's true that the Republicans had 30 years to work on HRC. Harris, not so much. Yeah, that's a huge deal, I think. It's that and the fact that Trump is also like notoriously not liked. Those are two real reasons, because a lot of the old voters, high propensity voters, okay, they remember it because they were, cognizant and alive. What does Trump have? He has possibly young males, okay, low to mid propensity voters that maybe skip a couple elections every now and then or haven't voted before and are going to vote for the first time. He is doing as much as he physically possibly can, going on the podcast circuit, doing all that. He did that in 2016 as well. He went on Alex Jones, guys, okay? He knows he will pick up voters wherever he can, okay? Because Republicans still want to win. They're getting in their own way right now with all the, they're getting in their own way with all the, like, going above and beyond with the, to a degree that he's even off-putting to the average American. That might be just as, but I do personally believe that when you factor all of that in, Donald Trump's chances are not as great as what a lot of doom and gloomers would say. Having said that, Kamala Harris is going to do everything in her power to lose this goddamn election. That much is clear, especially since the DNC. I still don't understand how everyone has convinced themselves that the polls still don't underestimate Trump. Polling a midterm is one thing, and 2020 was still off by quite a bit. I think Trump is going to win more so than 2016, even if polling is slightly better than 2020. Okay, one thing you got to remember, by the way, and this is pretty significant, Donald Trump is the most popular he has ever been in an election cycle at this stage. In 2016, in the polls, he was not this popular. In 2020, in the polls, he was not this popular. Right now, this is the most popular he has been, okay? If you think 2020 was like, oh, Biden put numbers on the board, he did not. He underperformed the polls in 2020. Trump overperformed the polls in 2020. That's not true. It is true. It is absolutely true. But he is tapped out with like the normal previous voting demographic, okay? I remember the Washington Post poll that had Biden up in 17 in Wisconsin. Yeah, right before the election. What data did you look at? What do you mean? Trump has overperformed polls significantly at the state level twice. I have a whole spiel on this. No, that is correct. That is absolutely correct. 2020 was the opposite, though. Post Roe v. Wade was a genuine change of pace and attitude for Trump and Trumpian-style candidates and their performance. But that's a midterm. Midterms are high-propensity voters. On the high-propensity voting front, Donald Trump gets washed, okay? 2022, sorry. He does. That's why a lot of election understanders and poll understanders say if it's a low turnout election, the Democrats are likely going to win. If it's a high turnout election, Trump is winning, okay? Because Trump is cleaning with low to mid propensity voters, people that skip out on voting, people that don't like reliably and consistently vote. Okay. So much so that there is a reality that Donald Trump ends up winning the popular vote and still losing the electoral college. I would call Trump weak with status signaling whites. I think it's the election of the teacher's pets versus the teacher's pests. That's actually an interesting take. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. There are far more teachers' pests than there are teachers' pets. So that's also something to remember. Here are the polls. Trump is winning. No, don't give me RCP, dude. It's like heavily slanted, dog. And also, this is no toss-up stays. No, this is RCP averages out like it's far more right-wing. There's a lot of junk polling. Like there's a lot of unreliable polls out there right now. That part is true. That part, I Dare, our resident liberal, our resident boomer liberal from Michigan, is correct on that. Wait, wasn't 2020 a massive turnout election and Democrats won? How do you explain that? Yeah, I don't know. Do you remember something very significant happened where Donald Trump won the most votes a Republican presidential candidate has ever won, despite being also very unpopular and still losing the election? I wonder if there was something like some game changer event, like world changing event that occurred in 2020 that allowed for universal ballot registration, mail-in voting, made it easier to vote. Basically, you just pick and choose the polls you like at the top of the hour. Oh my God, how am I getting cooked today, dude? I'm washed. Your goat is washed, dude. I'm getting destroyed by like the lowest effort baits at the top of the hour. There's a 3-minute ad break coming for you. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $6. I think they're raising it to $8, by the way. Brand inflation is hitting Twitch even harder, which is really goddamn annoying. But Twitch Prime is still free. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. I don't even know what that's about. I don't like it. When did they say that? I'm too broke for that. I don't even know. I think 8 only on mobile, by the way. Yeah, I feel like they just straight up want people to not subscribe. They want people to just run ads and make that the primary vehicle for revenue generation for Twitch streamers. And I hate that. Yeah, what is this? Yeah, I'm not Netflix, dude. I don't expect $8. Like, that's insane. Where was I? Oh, we did the Colin Allred, which I thought was Bardock No Bummer. Here, let's go back to Bardock No Bummer for a second while I go pee.
New ABC News Ipsos poll shows most Americans aren't buying it. They expect Harris to chart a new course different from President Biden. Overnight in a town hall hosted by Univision, Harris acknowledging the economic pain many Americans are still feeling.
Inflation is now down to 2.4, so we call it the macroeconomic numbers are looking good, but it still doesn't change the experience you're having at the grocery store, and we still need to deal with that.
Our new polling finds nearly half of Americans, 44%, say they are not as well off now as they were when Biden took office, a sentiment Trump is eager to seize on.
We have to bring back the American dream.
In a speech at the Detroit Economic Club, Trump going after Harris, but also insulting the city he was campaigning in.
The whole country is going to be like, you want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president.
With both candidates fighting to win Michigan, a critical swing state, Harris pouncing.
My opponent, Donald Trump, yet again has trashed another great American city when he was in Detroit, which is just a further piece of evidence on a very long list of why he is unfit to be president of the United States.
Now, this all comes as Donald Trump continues to spread false claims and misinformation about the federal response to the hurricane, specifically targeting North Carolina, which, of course, is a critical battleground state. But local election officials there insist that even while they are still recovering, they will be ready, George, for the election.
Yes, and that flood of misinformation has hurt the recovery effort. Okay, Mary, thanks.
Barack Obama is back on the campaign trail, and he's making the case against Donald Trump. But before his guest feature in Pennsylvania, Obama made a surprise visit to Kamala Harris's campaign headquarters in Pittsburgh. It was there that he got candid, maybe a little too candid if you are in the vice president's inner circle tonight. He warned that Harris is underperforming him with black voters, and he had a message specifically for black men.
Part of it. Yeah. This part is, oh man, this is 2016 time, baby. Let's go. I love seeing a rerun, you know? When you got something so good and you just like rerun it, it's like a comfortable warm blanket that you can cover yourself in. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nice, dude. That's how desperate we are. Okay. Love that, dude. Love that. Yeah, keep telling them that they're misogynistic. That certainly worked. I mean, that works so well. Let's do it again. Don't complain. Vote. Yeah, exactly. Woo! Every internal poll must be screaming red hot right now for these guys to just do like the most desperate attempt. Oh my God. Oh my Lord, dude. God damn. Oh, that's so good. If you don't vote for Kamala Harris, you're misogynist and you're anti-black. We should roll that out last second, like the Comey letter, okay? That'll work. 24 days out from the election. 24 days out from the election, we should start yelling at people for not voting for the Democratic Party. That will certainly change people's attitude. Oh my Lord, dude. Let's go.
Makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength. Because
here's why this is funny. Because this works only on potentially older black voters who love Barack Obama, but they're already voting for Kamala Harris. You turn around and say this to younger black men, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Suck my goofy. That's it. This doesn't work. You have to like Barack Obama for this to even like remotely work. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this has the reverse effect. This has the reverse effect.
That's what being a man is? Putting women down? That's not acceptable.
CNN political commentator Errol Lewis is in our fifth seat for this conversation. Errol, I guess he knew the cameras were there. It was an unscheduled stop, but that message was so pointed. In addition to him making it very clear, Kamala Harris is not doing what she needs to do with this core Democratic constituency.
That's right. Although he is asking her, let's be clear, to go over a very high hurdle. Barack Obama got historic levels of black voter registration and turnout and support, and he did it twice. It was almost inevitable that it was going to swing more toward the long-term average of a handful of black voters.
Can I interrupt you for just a moment, just to show you something here, because we went back.
The funniest part about this is like, this is one of those things that even if it's true, you're not supposed to say because it's just a bad way to campaign. Okay. And it's also typical Obama to hit this, and I'll say it, white supremacist ass and take. Typical pick up your pants Obama. Okay. For him to say this is so gross as a black man is ridiculous, because here's why it's ridiculous. Okay. Young men on average across the board are swinging for Trump. Okay. Black men are the smallest part of that constituency. How the are you going to call out black men as a black man yourself in this regard? That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. What are you doing? Like, what the like? Oh yeah, it's black people's fault. You're right. Come on. Now, he didn't specifically say black in his speech. Okay, dude. First of all, I think he did. So you're wrong. What do you think he should say instead? Well, it depends. Yeah, it's right here. Black men supporting Trump over Harris is not acceptable. Yeah, when he said brothers, he meant white dudes in Naperville. He was talking about them. Those are the brothers he was referencing. So the problem here is if you want to analyze specifically the black vote and the generational divide that is like going to be a major problem for the Democratic Party in the future that has taken the black vote for granted. If you want to specifically look at that, even if black men constitute the smallest percentage of this swing happening in the Republican direction, okay? The reason is clear. If you are 1 or 2 generations removed from the last time the Democratic Party actually put their ass out there and expended social capital to defend you and give you something, the right to vote, for example, then yeah, of course you're not going to have that same level of solidarity and loyalty to the Democratic Party. That's it. In terms of the black vote, it's the only voter group, it's the only demographic where the older you are, the more likely you are to vote for the Democratic Party. How did that happen? If you can personally recall a time where the Democrats fought for your right to vote, that's not true, question mark. What? Yes, it is. Infamous J-Dub. That's why he's trying to reach out to them from black man to black man. It's a different strat. I think he's aware. Dude, it's a terrible strat. You have to examine at this point, why not try it? Because it's a failure. Vote shaming is a horrendously bad strategy to try and win back voters. All you do is signal to the people in the margins that you are entitled to their vote and they need to shut the up and go out and vote. Saying that at a time when, like, obviously previous vote shaming and taking votes for granted has demonstrably failed, so much so that now you're thinking like, oh, we're hemorrhaging black male support. It's just an idiotic thing to do. Like, you have recognized the problem, and instead of addressing the problem, trying to tackle the underlying reasons why the problem exists, you're just doing the problem. You're reiterating the problem. What's the one thing that black conservatives say all the time? We are not a monolith. The Democratic Party takes our vote for granted. You are now staring down a bunch of young black men who are repeating that position. And if your response to that is simply to say, you are a monolith, they're going to be like even more convinced not to vote for the Democrats. It's just not going to work. They can't blame it all on Muslims. Yeah, I know. That is true. Yeah. He's literally not saying that black men are a monolith. What? Do campaigns offer you dollars to consult them? No. And they don't listen to what I have to say that I give out for free 99 anyway. I don't disagree. While I don't disagree with you, there's a tough, low component of the black community that I think he's trying to appeal to. Nah. I knew chatters were going to say that. No, dude. Nah.
Look to 2020 exit polls.
They're just voters, okay? No, there is no like black community aspect to this, okay? They're just voters. And when you yell at voters and you tell them that they're misogynistic for not voting, even if that is true, you're not supposed to say it.
Biden got 92% of the black vote. Right now, according to Quinnipiac, this is in Pennsylvania, according to Quinnipiac, Harris is at 78. It's a big gap in this state right now. And that can be closed because Biden is not Barack Obama.
Biden is not, well, he was Barack Obama's running mate. Right. Certainly some spillover there. But you cannot ask of every black candidate in the post-Obama era, you've got to come up with 92% of the black vote every time. That is just not a reasonable assumption. If the margins are as tight as they're likely to be in this race, that's going to cause you problems in Pittsburgh and in Philadelphia and in Detroit and in Milwaukee and in Atlanta and in all of the swing states. And so they're going to have to come up with a strategy. Now, Barack Obama is trying one strategy, trying to sort of connect with some of the black male voters who they think have been drifting away and are likely to drift away in these last 26 days. I'm not sure that's the right message.
I mean,
but they have to try something.
It's a lot of pressure. I mean, this is not a nice message. This is a very stern message.
Let me ask you a question, Abby and Nina. Let me say, I find it very interesting that we're trying to reach out to white men. We're trying to reach out to black men. The people whose rights are really on the ballot right now are women. And we're begging all these men to pay attention to us and to care enough about this election, to vote, to come out, to support us.
Oh, my God.
I feel like Barack going on the campaign trail right now makes perfect sense. Of course, right? He's a top surrogate for Democrats. He should be out there doing the work right now. I think it's so amazing to me that with women's rights on the line, we're spending so much time focusing on making sure men care.
That was awesome. That was awesome. Look at her face. Look at her face. Now you understand why I get annoyed whenever people single out black people like this. I hope you understand that. Yeah, dude, it's black people. 13% of the population. Like, ridiculous. Less support for the Republicans per capita than every other demographic. And they're like, wow, you got to do better, black men. Saying that to young black men. Come on, dude. Come on. It's like unnecessarily splintering your base of support. It's a liberal version of doing white supremacist talking points. And you're gonna have a whole lot of white people speaking out of turn. The easiest counter to this is, bro, you're a white woman. Out of all these groups, is the one demo that consistently voted for Trump by majority. How about you fix your own house before talking about black men? What are you talking about? What are you saying? And that is also unnecessary splintering, for the record. That's not how you build a coalition, but that's how you arrive at the normal counter to this point. That's what most people are going to feel like. Most black people are going to hear her chirp like this and be like, what are you talking about? White lady? Are you out of your mind? Like, dude, can you imagine looking at an entire group of marginalized people and just like monolithizing them this way when you're a white woman? It's just funny because Kamala is smart enough not to do this. Kamala is smart enough not to do this because she's a black woman, okay? And as a black woman, she understands like putting that in the forefront of your campaign is not going to win anyone over in a country that is objectively racist. So the fact that they are literally doing the exact opposite thing now in their last ditch effort as their campaign is like flailing is psychotic.
Women's rights on the line, we're spending so much time focusing on making sure men care.
Because men, I don't know, it's because men are the problem right now for Kamala Harris.
I mean, women.
And by the way, Governor Walz, according to Politico, is going to be going out on a men tour, literally a tour of media to appeal to men.
They need to appeal to the needs of the voters. And so when I was a delegate for President Obama in both of his elections in Ohio, Right now, the vice president is down 11 points in Ohio, even though I fully expect President Trump to take Ohio, as he did twice, but to be down 11 points compared to President Biden, that is a problem. But this other issue I want to bring up is a problem, too. Why are black men being lectured to?
Thank you!
Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it. So unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from black women. And what, as a politician, we should be.
There is literally, this is what I like to call liberal white supremacy. Okay. Liberals love talking about how our black men, they're so homophobic. They're so queer phobic. They're so conservative. It's like, have you seen white people, dog? What the are you talking about? The margins are literally the same. When it comes to election stuff, it's not even the same. Black men, by and large, are still firmly committed to the Democratic Party, but in far greater percentages than white men are. What the? That's crazy. That's a crazy argument to make. You are out of your mind. That's an insane argument to make, dude. It's just you are basically just a liberal that wants to say that black men are like, it's just a liberal way of saying that. I won't lie to you, old habits hard. As a 32-year-old black woman, my first instinct to hear Obama's comments is the same message our community says in private amongst each other about interpersonal support. But hearing your commentary, it's immediately alerting to me that means it's definitely not appropriate for the masses and not about voting/elections. It's super clear now. Thank you. Yeah, Obama having this conversation in private or whatever is one thing, okay? But you can't say this publicly. Like, when you say this publicly, you're giving ammunition to like white liberals who are just going to use black men as a reason for why Kamala Harris lost in the end. When percentage-wise, black men are still, by and large, committed to the Democratic Party by higher percentages. It's stupid. It's more complex than that, though. The reason black people are picked out are because the other parties almost, first of all, both parties are, as long as it's being done in the, and even if you're going to talk about marginalized identities, Latino men are also in higher percentages voting for the Republican Party, and the Republican platform is them. So what are we talking about? Dude, the Republican Party's platform is poor people, okay? And poor people still vote for the Republicans. Like, you have to, at a certain point, after many, many years of covering this, at least for me, I've to recognize that, yes, I recognize that it's the Democratic Party's fault. That's it. The Republicans do not change their strategy. They're always the same. They just get worse and worse year over year. If the Democrats keep taking for granted all these bases of support and constantly run harm reductionist arguments, they're not gonna win. They're gonna keep hemorrhaging support from these likely groups of voters. It's that simple, dude. Yeah, I mean, 2020 exit poll: white women 55% for Trump, 45% for Biden. Exactly. I don't know, man. As a black man, I really like white libs pretend that white people are actually more powerless majority than that never did anything wrong. It really motivates me. Yeah. This conversation pisses me off a lot. It's just very, very frustrating. Yeah. Blacks for Trump is like 10 to 15%, while whites for Trump is like 50+%. Like, what are we talking about? Also, the other side of what Obama was saying is that there is truth to it. Like, it's not just for black men. It's for a lot of young men. Yes. A lot of American voters, and this is a truth that Kamala Harris recognizes as well. That's why she doesn't run on the "I'm a black woman, you have to vote for me" in the same way that Hillary Clinton did the "I'm with her" campaign, because she was a white woman. And as a white woman, she had the audacity to think that American voters would literally not only refuse to be, but actually go out and vote for a white woman, white being the primary difference here. And while what he is saying is not entirely incorrect, it still doesn't change the narrative that is not a way to campaign. You cannot say that. Kamala Harris recognizes that. She doesn't say it. You shouldn't either. I hope Kamala doesn't also turn around and start doing this.
trying to get all voters to vote. And hopefully there are a few good men out there who do care about the stripping of women's bodily autonomy. But this is wrong for President Obama. It is a wrong course for the Harris.
People are going to say she's speaking out of turn and say, oh, we have to respect them. They hate women. Why should we respect them? The real counter to this is those people, misogynistic or not, doesn't fucking matter, okay, still have material needs. Trump is obviously communicating to some of their desires better than Kamala Harris's. That's what voting is. That's what elections are about. That's it.
Walt's campaign to lay at the feet of black men when they have their reasons. In 2020, the vice president was labeled a cop, as we know.
But do you think, sorry to interrupt you, Nina, but do you think he's right that some of the one of the reasons is because they don't like the idea of a woman?
It might be some listen, black men are socialized in the same society as any other man. So
I looked up, according to New York Times and others, voters think Harris is too conservative, 6% not progressive enough, 9% too progressive, 41%, including 36% of young people, say she's too progressive. Yeah, because she's a black woman. That's it. People are lizard brain. They don't respond to... Okay, so were those black men in that room Trump supporters? If so, they need to be called out? No, they weren't. There's also a difference between Obama saying that directly to a black Trump supporter versus putting that out as a broader message, okay? But he wasn't. He wasn't doing that. He was letting it rip so that the media covers it like this. It's a broader message. I think with the ultimate goal of having like older black men and women in the black community to go out and try to speak some sense into their younger counterparts, their children and their grandchildren. I think that's the reason why he said that. And you know, it's AOE damage for no reason. Yeah.
Yes, is misogyny maybe a part of it? But again, is President Obama and is the Harris-Waltz campaign going to lecture other male groups in the same way that they're lecturing
This is not just about...
I don't think so.
It's not just about Pennsylvania. It's not just about men. It sounds like there's a concern that there's a broad problem for Vice President Harris with the blue wall. It's basically, according to the poll of polls, no clear leader, a tied race essentially in all three of these battleground states. You know, I don't know that this is because Trump has run a great campaign, but I mean,
I don't think it's that.
I mean, maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, but he has struggled against Kamala Harris in this early stage, but he's still kept this race pretty tight and maybe has made some inroads in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, absolutely, he has. Vice President Harris's high watermark was about a week and a half after the convention. It's slowly been trickling down. That Quinnipiac poll showing the vice president down in Michigan and Wisconsin sent a...
Your grandpa, I'm a black man, I'm not voting at all because Kamala's not campaigning on progressive, not policies for me, but my grandpa's doing lesser evil voting. I understand his POV. His main concerns are January 6th happening again, lol, and abortion. But I can't operate that way. I'd rather see a new progressive party born with steadfast beliefs and vote in 4 to 8 years. I love your grandpa. Your grandpa is very similar to a lot of people's grandparents that, you know, spend all their time watching MSNBC. It's like the Fox News contingency, but like for MSNBC instead. That's all this is. Yeah. There's only two different people at this point in America, in the American base of support. Okay. You got MSNBC grandpa that's like worried about January 6th. And you got Fox News grandpa that wants to do January 6th.
Alarm bells throughout every Democrat office in the country. But I want to say this, the blue wall is cracking, and black men are just one part of a broader puzzle that she hasn't been able to reach. Now, to her credit, she hasn't been running for very long. This campaign's new. This is a new experiment of replacing somebody late in the cycle. So, okay, we'll give her that. However, she's struggling with union voters. The two of the biggest unions ever didn't endorse her. She's struggling with Muslim Americans in Michigan, according to CARE's own numbers. She's struggling with Hispanics in California. She's not expected to remake the Obama coalition. That's impossible. That's a 1 in a million, especially given the short time frame. But she has a lot of bigger problems, and that's why you see Tammy Baldwin panicking about being down more.
Here's Debbie Dingle. People need to see the real Kamala Harris. This is what she told Axios. They need to let her get in the union halls and just talk to people. Whatever you think about Trump, he's personable.
Well, I think that's one of the things. I mean, he obviously from 2016 all the way through 2020, now through 2024, he comes off as a fighter. He comes off.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think that's a good idea. No. I was like, damn, we should do more Kamala Harris media appearances. And then I saw it and I was like, damn, we should never do more Kamala Harris media appearances. Send in Tim Walz on the Man Tour. God, that shit is so lame. The Man Tour. This is what happens when your worldview is inherently anti-materialist. You think everything is culture. You think like these people basically became the way that they are because they saw too many wrong podcasts. And if they see the right podcast, their attitude will change. That's not how this works. You have to also solve the underlying material issues that they experience. Here, I'll make it simple for you. There's a couple signifiers that make it incredibly likely that you are going to vote for one party or the other. There is the rural versus urban divide. If you live in a city, you are more likely to vote Democrat than if you live in a suburb or in a rural part of your state. Another thing that also is a predictor of who you're going to vote for is educational attainment. Educational attainment is so significant that even white people who otherwise love white supremacy will end up overcoming their white supremacist desires to go out and vote for the liberal party, the progressive party. Men are less educated than their female counterparts. That's it. That's it. And it's becoming worse and worse. Like this education gap and also work attainment gap as a byproduct of the education gap is getting worse.
As a fighter for whatever issue matters to you. I think that's one of his big appeals. One of the challenges, I think, for the vice president's campaign is that I don't think Barack Obama is the right surrogate to go out there and do it. No, now, he's beloved by Democrats. He's beloved generally by Americans, but he's never had coattails. Aside from 2008, when he first got elected, Democrats lost more than 1,000 seats in state and federal offices during his 8 years. He was the sitting president when...
Damn. That's not even Obama's fault entirely. You know, shouts out Rahm Emanuel and all the that he had in his corner. But he's not wrong. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Trump's strategist here, but that is a truth bomb, okay? That's a Psaki bomb, baby.
Donald Trump won Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin with Barack Obama campaigning in Michigan and in Pennsylvania, and it didn't change the narrative. So I just don't know if he has the coattails. He'll fire up the base, but is he going to get anybody new to come out and vote?
You know, the other mistake that they're making is focusing too much on personality. I mean, Kamala Harris has got an appealing personality, and we're all getting to know her. But this is the incumbent party. She was part of an administration. They have a decent record to run on. You could say to black men, for example, $7 billion for historically black colleges and universities. You know, we've done certain things. We've had an economy where we've had not one, not two, but over 36 record highs in the stock market this year. If you've got a retirement account, that is...
I'm sorry, dude. You're a... In a conversation where the subject matter is why young men are hemorrhaging support, but specifically young black men are hemorrhaging support from the Democratic Party, you're like, wow, why doesn't she tout the benefits of the stock market highs? I'm Brian me, dude. I'm Brian me. Wow, I don't understand why young men don't want to support the party when the Democratic Party had stock market highs 34 times under the Brandon regime. If you have this weird attitude where everyone's a day trader, I don't fault you for thinking that because you're online, but it's just big signifier that you're extremely online.
It is helping you. You can go out and explain these things, or you can sort of say, well, let's try and segment this.
Michael's exclusive interview with Governor Tim Walz. Michael, you sat down with him in his home state of Minnesota.
Yes, George, I did sit down with Governor Tim Walz, and we covered a lot of ground.
Damn, bro, what did you guys talk about? You look distraught.
At the top of the voters' minds, the economy, the comments that he's made about his life that turned out to be untrue or possibly misleading, and concerns that this election might be disrupted. But I started off by asking him what he would have done differently from President Biden.
Vice President Harris was asked this week on The View if she would have done anything differently than President Biden with President Biden that he has done in the past 4 years. And she said, quote, there is not a thing that comes to mind. And she later said she would have a Republican in her cabinet. Yeah.